Hey everybody, what's up? Mike Miller with the Herald Times, columnist Andy Graham, John Blau in the back.
Yep.
What's up?
Well, Iowa ended up.
Yeah.
Not by a lot. It was another pretty
competitive
ball game against a very good Iowa team. Iowa came in ranked number 10 and unbeaten, and it was just very impressive. I liked how they approached play. C.J. Beathard was our player of the game, the Iowa quarterback, who I think has been a real dynamic change for them since he took over the starting job. He's unbeaten as a starter. He's 10-0 as a starter at Iowa. And just made the plays that his team needed him to make today.
Yeah.
Early, late, whatever. Even at the end of the first half, Indiana had scored to go ahead for the first time, and Beathard made a heck of a leap from about 3 yards out toward the pylon to put his team ahead at halftime. And this is a guy who, at least reportedly, has been dealing with thigh, hip, and groin injuries. And he limped away from that play, too. But he still made the play. And, John, you talk about him a little bit in terms of what you saw from him and what you heard after the game.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing was he was asked kind of, do you dial it back at all, or how do you guys kind of manage it, obviously, because it would be a bad thing if he was running plays that he's just not prepared to run. Just
physically.
Because he likes to run the ball a little bit, but they've been running a little bit less. But he sat on the sideline. He was talking with offensive coordinator Greg Davis, and he was just asking him all the time, can you do it? And he just kept saying yes. And he said, I wouldn't say yes if I couldn't, though, to hurt my offense. So he went out there. He did that diving play, like you said, and also on it's on 2nd and 9 when they were trying to ice it. He took that naked boot and kind of ran it for 11 yards.
Right.
And also, again, asked, do you think you can do it? And he could. And Kirk Ferentz said after the game, we just got to stop guessing what percentage he is at this point because it doesn't matter. I mean,
he's not going to heal until after the bowl game.
And he said, we don't know it. He doesn't know it, but you know what? He looks like a football player out there. So he definitely did tonight.
Well, Mike, you led off your article with another key play that he made.
Yeah.
Your gamer, when, it's a 1-point game and it's a crucial third down. And
3 minutes into the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
they're facing 3rd and 11. I think it was like 2nd and 15
It's
a moment
a big
before.
play. And Indiana got pressure. They chased him out of the
They got pressure. They had Mangieri, they had Shaw, and then Marcus Oliver just flies at him and actually hit him, knocked him down.
Yeah.
But he's
rolling
goes
to his
left, throws across his body. It's 3rd and 11, gets Vandenberg for 12 yards, and I thought that was the play. I mean, what a
huge
gut punch
play.
that is right there. I mean, 3rd and 11. I actually said to the guy next to him, like, 12-yard completion, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
I mean, it just had that feeling all day for Indiana. This is another example of just third down deficiencies for this defense. A number of reasons why, but the fact is, last 3 games, Indiana opponents are converting something like 60% of their third downs against Indiana. Interesting stat today, I think Beathard was like 4 of 7 on third down. The average distance Iowa faced was like 7 yards, and his average completion on third down was 10 yards. I mean, there was just no stopping them on third down. Just another week of that, week of these problems. I mean, this was an area of focus for Indiana going into the bye week. This was something that they thought they could spend some time looking at film, looking and seeing if they were giving anything up, if they were becoming predictable. I mean, this is a team, too, that, gosh, a month ago, I think they had first 3 games of the season, opponents were at 50%. And then the next 3 games, I think they knocked it down to like 22%. And they were seeing some real success, but for some reason it's gotten away from them, whether it's just fatigue, just not getting there. Marcus Oliver says they got to bring better pressure. I mean, that play, they had pressure. Sometimes guys just make plays, but by and large, though, third down was killing Indiana both on defense and offense, too, late in the game. When it was an up-and-down game for Indiana.
And that play was actually pretty well covered. I mean, the reason why he got chased out of the pocket, there wasn't anybody open for a while. And then Vandenberg
kind of broke off the sideline.
To the middle.
Shook off Chase Dutra.
To get himself open.
Yeah.
And that's what, players from winning teams do. I mean, they make plays when you got to make a play. I mean, he set up the touchdown on that drive, too, Vandenberg did, by getting open up the seam. He beat John Crawford up the seam and made a catch. On the ensuing drive, when Indiana's now down 28-20, they get a tight end, open up the seam. He doesn't make the catch.
Not a winning play.
And no, it wasn't. And
could have been.
It would have been a big game. I don't know exactly how far it would have gone, but it would have been a chunk. And so that right there was a difference. And then I wrote my column about another difference, which was in the stands. That Indiana got the ball with 10:07 to play, down at 1 score against the number 10 ranked unbeaten conference foe. and there's a huge chant in the stadium that's just resounding, and it's "Let's go Hawks."
Yeah.
I mean, we might as well have been in Kinnick Stadium. And Indiana's drive, floundered. It was a bad throw, then the tight end drop, then a sack, then a punt. And then Iowa gets the ball, goes right back down and scores again to give themselves a 2-score cushion. And once again, Nate Sudfeld didn't blame the fans. I mean, I asked him about this after the game, and he said, Iowa's fans travel well. They've had a great season. I mean, they're it's not unexpected. They're there to support their team, and sure, I'd love to have more from the home fans, but I mean, we have to win games. We have to earn that from them. I'm paraphrasing here. So he wasn't blaming anybody, but to me,
I wouldn't blame anybody.
To me, it was noticeable, however, that in most places in America, if the home team's trying to pull an upset and maybe turn its season around against an unbeaten ranked foe, if there's chanting going on in the fourth quarter, it's generally going to be the home crowd trying to rally the home team. That wasn't the case here today.
Yeah, that's a touchy subject, I guess. I mean, at the same time, the last time Indiana was playing a football game here at Memorial Stadium, they gave up a 25-point lead in the final 20 minutes.
It's true. I mean, that's a fair point, and it's probably one I should have put in my column. But I did. This is a fan base that has suffered for a long time, and ever since Bill Mallory left, really, it's been pretty barren.
Yeah.
I mean, Terry Hepburn, unfortunately, before his tragic demise, really fired people up for a little bit. But generally, there hasn't been much to cheer about. Antoine Randall was a wonderful player to watch play, and some of those teams are very high scoring. But we really haven't seen anything that's going to, sort of reattract and build the fan base, with any consistency. And they've got one more chance this year. I mean, I think this Indiana team and this program has needed a really attention-getting win, especially on the home field. I mean, they had an attention-getting win last year at Missouri. And then a couple of weeks later, Sudfeld got hurt, and that season didn't end up well. But they got one more chance to kind of raise everybody's eyebrows and make a statement, but it ain't going to be easy because it's Michigan. It's Jim Harbaugh's first trip in here as the head coach of Michigan next Saturday, and Michigan's a ranked team as well, obviously number 16, and they've played really well too. I mean, I don't know. Have you been able to watch them much? Do you have any?
I get to watch Indiana, and then I go home and I watch whatever late games on. I don't see anybody.
Well, they've been a very solid defensive team as well. What did you see from Indiana's passing offense today that you thought more than maybe any other factor led to them being too inconsistent to really be effective enough? I know what the top factor is for me.
I don't know. There were drops. I mean, there wasn't some great. I mean, some of his throws weren't that good either. I mean, I think it was a combination of a lot of things. I mean, and really, too, that kind of hurt Jordan Howard at one point, too. I mean, Jordan Howard, Indiana rushed for, 227 yards. Howard averaged, 7.9 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Iowa had given up 1 rushing touchdown all season coming into the year. They were averaging 86 yards on the ground per game coming into this. And Indiana rattles off 200-some, and then late in the game, Indiana just kind of goes on those 3-and-outs. Howard touches the ball twice over the course of those three and outs over the final 5 drives. That's a mouthful. But really just the inability to really sustain drives, get him going with any sort of momentum early on first and second down, took Jordan Howard out of the game, I thought, too. So it was a combination of things in the passing game, which ultimately led to losing the Howard factor, too, at one point.
And to me, it was just too many drops. I mean, Sudfeld wasn't as sharp as I've seen him in the past. I thought the pass protection generally was okay. It was
pretty good.
The run blocking was terrific. I mean, Iowa came in here ranked 5th nationally against the rush, and Indiana, was pretty effective most of the day running the ball. But early on there was a great throw. I mean, it couldn't have been a better throw to Mitchell Page, and Mitchell's had a great year.
Great year.
He didn't catch
Beautiful
that.
Ball.
Simicaz dropped one late. I don't know. I mean,
it was a lot of things.
Ricky Jaws dropped one. Almost everybody, if you want to name like the prominent receivers on Indiana's side, they dropped the ball too much. I mean, I know by my count there were at least 6 that were clear drops, but Nate ends up being 16 of 37.
Something like that. Yeah, 6.
And it's just not good enough against when you're playing a top 10 team, everything pretty much has to click. I mean, as it is, they finished within an 8-point margin, but
a little deceiving.
It's just a bit misleading because once again, the fourth quarter, Indiana is now entering the fourth quarter of its season.
Yeah.
They got 3 games left out of 12. And they're going to have to play those games better in the fourth quarter than they've been playing in the fourth quarter lately.
Really important game next week against Michigan. I just got to think this team, they got to close out this home schedule with a win against Michigan to really feel good about those last 2 games going on the road. If this team's going to get 6, I find it really hard to believe they're going to rattle off back-to-back wins at Maryland and Purdue. They could certainly do it. They could win all 3. I mean, they could. There's a lot. As always, the season can still go in a few different directions. But I think really as a team that's really struggled on the road for a long time, especially under Kevin Wilson, as his program builds, they need to get some momentum. They need to get it at home, and then they need to kind of hit the ground running.
A lot of Indiana fans before the season began, talking about the season, more than a few folks mentioned to me, is like, from an IU perspective, I don't really want to go into that Purdue game needing that win to try to get to a bowl. So we'll see how it works out. I think they're perfectly capable of winning the last 2 games on the road if it comes down to that. But they're going to have to show it, and when I talk about the fan base, they're going to have to show them too. They've had their chances. They haven't really done it.
We talked to Marcus Oliver. We got to end this, but we talked to Marcus Oliver after the game. We kind of talked about what's it going to just really take to get everything going in the right direction. He says, we just have to win a game. We just got to get that behind us. We have to get that win. It's been 5 games in a row, 6 weeks since they last won at Wake Forest. They just need a win right now. And it would be very, very meaningful to get it in the last home game of the year against Michigan and head on the road with 2 more opportunities to get 6. We'll see what happens. We'll be back next week. Thanks, guys.